Hey, I'm Vince Beese, the host of Early Wins Podcast. And on this show, we interview startup founders to uncover their secrets to success closing their first customers. During this 10-minute, three-question episode, you'll gain insights and lessons to help you land deals, find market fit, and chart your path to scalability. Our guest today is Mark Walker. Mark is a co-founder and CEO at Rev'd Up. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks, Vince. Great to be here. Appreciate the invite.
It's been a while, so it's good to catch up with you as well.
For sure. Yeah, it's been too long.
So before we get into the questions, tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days and what you're working on.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the revenue game for coming up 20 years now. Prior to founding Rev'd Up, I was a chief revenue officer in a couple of high growth tech businesses. Actually did a 18-month stint as a fractional CRO as well, while we were building the prototype for Rev'd Up. And Rev'd Up has been my hobby, passion, vocation, you name it, for the last 18 months. The business itself, what we do is help mid-market and SMB businesses to run account-based marketing plays that would previously have been too expensive for them. So ABM was the preserve of enterprise to enterprise marketing, right? I won't go into too much, it's not a sales pitch, but what we do is we take all the key principles of ABM. We use our AI platform to make them more scalable and cheaper. And that allows us to run ABM campaigns on behalf of our clients at a fraction of the cost of what it traditionally would have cost them.
Very cool. So first question for you. You've been a revenue leader. Now you're a founder. And as a founder, you have to go out and still hustle and I imagine get involved in deals. Can you think of a deal where you're wearing the founder hat that you closed that was significant and why? And kind of walk us through how you did that?
Sure. So I'm going to give you two real quick. One was the very first deal we ever closed. You just don't forget it. Right? That very first revenue on the board was wonderful, and that came from a warm referral. So we were working with an advisor actually, and they recommended us to another advisor who recommended us to one of their companies. So it was a 2-degree separation referral. And after 2-3 weeks of having conversations, they joined us as a design partner and agreed to actually spend money on that platform for the first time. And that was our first true validation. And that's when we knew we were onto something. So that felt very special. The most significant win came in January of this year. It's our first 6-figure deal, which was fantastic. And that was really, we laid the groundwork for that 9 months prior to it closing.
9 months prior. Yeah.
9 months prior. And again, that was all to do with building relationships and driving trust within that organization and delivering value way ahead of when we actually closed that deal.
And was that deal you're mentioning, Mark, was that an existing relationship or did you start from new with that one?
I started from new. It bubbled out of a shared community. So there was some level of trust there, but it was with someone 9 months. Yeah, 9 months ago, I did not know this person.
So as you look back on your history with Rev'd Up, what are some of the lessons you've learned or the mistakes you've made that are making you more efficient in the sales cycle and closing these deals?
Oh man, you said it was only a 10-minute podcast, right? So I think some of the most pertinent ones for other maybe earlier stage startups than me. The first is it's really important that you are confident when you are selling your product because people don't just buy from people, right? Just because they like you, they are buying your product to solve a real problem. And so you have to build trust and credibility. Now, when you're in really early stage, you don't have case studies. Right? You just don't. You don't have ROI calculators that you can point people to. So one of our trickiest hurdles when selling to cold prospects was not having those proof points that they traditionally expect. And so the only way that you can get over that is to have absolute confidence in your product and the efficacy and be able to deliver that confidence to them and build the trust through the relationship versus being reliant on the case study. So that's definitely one lesson.
And I think really that highlights why founders need to close the first deals, because if you hired a salesperson, there's no way they would have that level of confidence to deliver the product that has no real proven results yet, right?
That is 100% true. I cannot imagine not being the person to have sold those first few deals. You've got wonderful salespeople, but they cannot have the same level of conviction as a founder. And I think the second part of that is you've got to de-risk things for clients. They are taking a big risk on working with a very early stage startup. Some of our earliest clients came in before we'd raised any money, so there was no, in many respects, they didn't know we'd be around 6 months after they started working with us, right? So they took a big risk, and part of the way we de-risked it, and I'll give you the good way and the bad way, right? And I did both. So the bad way, I'll start with that. We guaranteed specific results with one client where 80% of the variables were outside of our control. And so what that client didn't do was actually buy in to our solution. They treated us as a commodity. It was very transactional. And it didn't work out, lo and behold. And we had that guarantee. So it ended up costing us money, right? Never again, lesson learned. But we did it, right? We thought that was the right thing to do at the time. The way to actually de-risk things is to show that you have skin in the game alongside them, and that if there are any issues, if there are any bugs with the product, or if there is anything that's not going as expected, which is a guarantee when you're a startup, right? Things simply do not go smoothly. You have to de-risk it that you will fix those problems for them, right? You have to get it. It's not about results. It is about having the commitment to a high quality of support and service. And if you can guarantee that, that will help de-risk it for them.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously the cliche white glove, right? But in startup world, it just means all hands on deck. Like you have to do what's necessary to make it the best experience possible and to solve problems and fix problems ASAP, right? Don't let them
Absolutely.
linger.
Even if half the time the issue is with the other party, right? I've seen too many people sell software, and as soon as you've sold it, getting any value out of it becomes their problem. And that's just not true. It's your problem. It's a shared problem. So you've got to stand by the efficacy of your platform and software, but sometimes you just need to help people find the value out of it as well.
I agree 100%. I mean, you stop after that and stop providing value. When you stop providing value, then you're going to risk not being able to get customer references or case studies or real metrics that matter because you're not really engaged to what was most important, which is the promise at the beginning of the conversation, which is we're going to provide this value. Here's how we're going to do it. And if they don't see that result, why would they stay, right?
Exactly.
So, last parting question for founders out there, or maybe sales leaders. What are kind of words of wisdom you would give folks that are going through a similar type of journey, early stage type of startup or seller?
So there's a few things that I've picked up. So one, in terms of those deals and trying to land those bigger deals, the most important thing is building a really strong relationship with a really credible champion. Right now, early stage startup founders, they may not be familiar with the acronym MEDIC or MEDPIC. It is an acronym used in enterprise sales. So as a former revenue leader, it's something I've got a lot of intimate knowledge with. Go and look it up, right? Go and learn and understand MEDPIC. Go and listen to.
It's a fun read. You'll enjoy yourselves.
It's a great read, right? But try and understand, because it gives you a good framework for navigating deals. But if there's one acronym in there that you want to really understand, is the importance of having a champion. Because if you get a good champion, they will help you navigate the deal and the internal politics, and they can get around things, they can get under things and over things if you've got the right champion. So that would be one like killer tip for anyone trying to land a more enterprise size deal. The second would be, you kind of need to earn your way up there. There are certain pieces of software that will only ever be enterprise, like if you're selling to a bank. But we built ahead of steam. We got ROI. We got case studies and testimonials from our earlier, smaller customers that then allowed us to de-risk some of the questions that our enterprise clients would have. And the third one is, well, the third and fourth, these are more general tips. You've just got to keep going, right? Startups are tough. If it could go wrong, it probably will go wrong. You've kind of got to shake it off and just keep persisting and enjoy the journey, right? You've got to have fun. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, enjoy the space that you're in. And then those difficult times don't feel as difficult.
Insightful wisdom, Mark. We really appreciate you coming on Early Wins today.
Pleasure, Vince. Thanks for having me.